Check this out.
Welcome to the Pushing Forward Podcast. We get it in right now with your host, Jamal Potts.
Spit more than metaphors and hard rhymes. I paint a portrait that gets recorded on large signs. You gotta see it clear, eyes closed.
And welcome to the first episode of the Pushing Forward Podcast. I'm your host, Jamal Potts. And sitting here today, I got a very special guest in the building, Muk-pah. How you doing today, sir?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Nice for asking, man.
Man, how the fam been, man?
Man, you know, right now, we just lost two uncles, man. My Uncle Mike and my Uncle James. You know, we're just in recovery mode, you know, trying to bounce back, man.
I'm sorry to hear that, man. So how the fam been holding up with this whole Corona-19 virus?
Well, you know, it's been a blessing and a curse at the same time. You know, it's a curse because we've been losing lives, you know. The blessing out of this is, I think all of us now know we got to stick together and we got to become as one. We got to unite as a people.
Yeah, we most definitely got to do that.
To survive this.
Got to pray and keep our head above water, man. And
most definitely.
And just keep our faith in God. But let's jump straight into the interview. So describe growing up and how did your journey with music start?
Describe growing up. I grew up, you know what I'm saying, Tallahassee, Alabama, Wall Street, you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying, from a family, from, you know, a big family, man. I got 6 brothers, 3 sisters. I grew up with my Aunt Eva, you know what I'm saying, Dad, my mom, different households. Just coming up, basically, man, you know, lower income house, black people with little, but a lot of love, you know what I'm saying, trying to make it, you know, basically like that.
So, how did your journey with music start, and how did you just find, like, I wanted to be a rapper? Is it something that you always liked in music, or you just found it one day?
Music with me, I can say, hit me as a kid when I was probably about 5 or 6, man, probably younger than that, you know. I used to perform music. My Aunt Eva used to have me perform music for all of her company every time they came over. You know, I was singing Marvin Gaye, Temptations, Al Green, Rod Stewart, all of the old school artists and stuff, man. You know, music, I always loved performing music as a kid, you know. So when I heard Planet Rock, that just kind of changed my life a little bit, man. I could say it was like, music-wise, it just made me want to be a rapper. Like, I heard them rapping, I heard the beats, and that's the kind of music I wanted to do once I heard Planet Rock, you know.
So who was your influence, you know, growing up? Like, who influenced you?
For it's like, rapping-wise, you saying?
Rapping-wise, music-wise, like, did you have any influence?
Well, rapping-wise, I would say early, you know, Run DMC, Rakim, Cool G Rap, BDP, Public Enemy, Righteous Teachers, Gangstar, and Nubian, Pete Rock, CL Smooth, Jungle Brothers, Tribe Called Quest, De La Soul, Ice Cube, the DOC, and, you know, NWA, Eazy-E, all of them, Ghetto Boys, you know what I'm saying, 2 Live Crew. You know what I'm saying? I got a wide variety of people when it comes to influences, you know what I'm saying? Because being from the South, being from Alabama, we really didn't have nobody to represent us. So we, you know, we really had to stretch out and just get it how we, you know, how it came to us. So, and we had, like, you know, a lot of different people from everywhere to choose from. So, you know, my influences came from a wider range of people, but to narrow it down, I would say, you know, when it comes to rhyming, probably Rakim, Ghetto Boys, Public Enemy, you know, most of like the conscious rappers of back then that, you know, that grabbed my attention.
Okay. I also know that you was in a group called T.O.P. and what the meaning behind that, and what was the members of the group, and what role did they play? Were they was rappers too, or they just wanted to be around because they knew that you can rap, or you were just close friends with them?
T.O.P. was a group of friends, yeah, you know what I'm saying? We started out as a group of friends, and the reason was because the T.O.P. was a alternative group for us, like with the gang activity that was going on. at the time. You know, it was another group called a BAD that was at my school at that time. So I didn't want to be in the BAD because I wasn't a leader, and if I was going to be a part of a group, I had to be one of the leaders. So I had to, you know, it was, and at the same time, I was in the music, you know. So I wanted to have a music group, a rap group. So I came up with the T.O.P. Posse. T.O.P. stood for Talkers of the Public, because I felt like we was speaking for the people, you know. We was rhyming, so we was, you know, speaking for the people and stuff. So that's kind of like how T.O.P. started, you know. It was me, Chris Green, and two brothers, you know, Tori and Brian.
Okay. So could you like give some input like on like BAD, like what they was, like what that mean?
BAD was the other group. I really don't know what BAD stood for, you know, be for real, which it was another group, you know, at our school, in our neighborhood. They was basically, I guess, man, just like a street gang, you know. It was kind of like before the known street gangs came to our neighborhood, you know what I'm saying? It was sort of like BAD was sort of like a school, you know, school thing, neighborhood type thing, you know. I really don't know what it stood for, you know, but a lot of people I went to school with, you know, friends and stuff like that was in it. I didn't want to be in it. So, and it's sort of like, you know, peer pressure at the time when you're in junior high, you sort of like gotta be in something, you know. So I decided to be in my own gang, so to say, but, you know, not a gang, but a music band. So
like with BAD, what it was like, was like street beef, or did they have like any type of beef with other gangs and stuff like that, or what?
Yeah, you know, they had beef with other gangs, other crews, and, you know, that really was one of the reasons, you know what I'm saying? We had a little so-called beef with them, you know, a little misunderstanding and all that, but Tori and Brian, you know, two of the members in my group, T.O.P., they kind of wanted to branch out and make T.O.P. sort of like a group that was kind of like could rival the BAD, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I wasn't really trying to take it that direction though. So, you know what I'm saying? We kind of like severed ties and had a disagreement on how that group wanted to go. So, you know, it was a couple of times in school where members of the T.O.P., you know what I'm saying, ran into members of the BAD and, you know, had fights and stuff like that. So, yeah, you know, the BAD, they had, you know, beef with other groups also, you know, from Tallahassee, from across the river. We wasn't like, you know, big rivals or nothing like that. It was just, you know, more of anything, just the clash of two groups at one school. But we wasn't a main rival or nothing like that.
So, like, speaking of, like, a rivalry and stuff like that, so if you can recall, like, how did the Tallahassee and Real-Town rivalry kind of kicked off? Was it already going on while you was in school, or it's been going on?
Yeah, that was going on before I was in school. Before I was born, that was going on. You know, we just kind of just got thrown right into that. And me, myself, man, you know, I wasn't in it. You know, I didn't have no beef with people from across the bridge. You know what I'm saying? One reason because, you know what I'm saying, my mom, she lived across the bridge. So I grew up back and forth, you know what I'm saying, between both sides of the river. So I had friends on both sides of the river growing up. So kind of silly for me to turn and try to fight against them, because during the fall, I'm going, you know, I'm across the river going to school in Real-Town, and in the summer, I'm with, you know, the dudes from across the river. So it was just kind of silly for me to turn on them, or them to turn on me for stuff like that. So, you know, I didn't really have a beef with either side of the river, but friends of mine did.
So with the whole T.O.P., what was the transition to forming YGB, and why did you form YGB, and what was going on, you know, in your mind at that time when all this stuff was going on, and how you felt about it?
T.O.P., I felt like T.O.P. was being turned into something that it was not intended to be. It was being turned into a gang, and it wasn't intended to do that. That wasn't the intent for it. I didn't create it for that. So I decided to disband it. I decided to drop it, to cancel it, terminate it, whatever you want to call it, and start a new group called YGB. And YGB was an acronym for Young, Gifted, and Black. And this was the time when consciousness, because I got drawn to rap from conscious rap. conscious music like Public Enemy, Boogie Down Production, Poor Righteous Teachers, X-Clan, Brand Nubians, you know what I'm saying? Groups that was actually educating me at the same time. Boogie Down Production had this song called You Must Learn. And why is that? That I actually learned more from that song about the Bible than I had ever learned in church. You know what I'm saying? So these songs was educating me that school and church couldn't. So I felt gravitated to do that also. You know what I'm saying? This is what I was into, music. And if you can do this through music, then that was great. So I started writing rhymes, and that was my fuel to my creative, fire. And plus, around at the same time, I had experienced personal tragedy also. One of my mentors, Rodney Brooks, had got killed.
Can you explain to the people, like, how did he get killed?
He got killed in the Taliesin Wall Street beef, the cross the river beef and stuff that you was asking me about earlier that was going on before, I was born, and we just kind of got thrown into that. He got killed in that beef, and it was senseless. It was stupid to me that, you would kill somebody because of what side of the river they stayed on, or why you would even fight somebody, for that. So I started writing rhymes because I was hurt because of that. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't understand it, and it just made me want to write rhymes to prevent that from happening again. So YGB formed on that basis. It was like a conscience group. We was like a young X-Clan almost. And so YGB formed on that, Around by this time, my cousin Ferrante had moved to Tallahassee. My friend Henry also moved, to Reeltown, you know what I'm saying? Henry was going to Tallahassee, but he moved to Reeltown to stay with his dad. So all of us was in the same class together. And I had knew Henry from my cousin Fiwi. You know what I'm saying? Him and Fiwi was friends. So
did those particular members that was rapping too, or they just more wanted to be down with the crew? Or explain to the people about that situation.
Okay. When we first clicked up, neither one of them was rapping. Henry or Ferrante was rapping. At the same time, my friend Chris was down with us too from the T.O.P. posse. You know what I'm saying? Chris wanted to rhyme, you know what I'm saying? So he stuck with me because he was interested in music too. So when Henry and Tay came, they was interested in music also, but they wasn't yet writing, you know what I'm saying? And I was wanting to coach them, you know what I'm saying, for us like writing and stuff, because I wanted a group. I didn't want to be solo. I wanted a group. And I felt like it was power in numbers, so I wanted a group, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't feel like my voice was mature yet either to be on his own. So I wanted other voices with me, you know what I'm saying? So Henry started writing. I used to write some for Ferrante and Chris. So we started, out like that. Everybody contributing to whatever they could do. It could be ideas for songs, you know what I'm saying? Like, you might not can write a verse, but you might have an idea for a song. So we was a collective crew like that. YGB was.
So at this time, like, explain to the people about the creative process. Like, how was your creative process? Was like, do you hear a beat and you write on the spot, or do you just hear a beat and you just go wherever your mind takes you? So explain to the people about that.
Sometimes it's both. Sometimes I can hear a beat and it could give me something to write about. It give me, some kind of inspiration to write something. Sometimes I get a thought out of thin air. Sometimes I just think of a verse, out of thin air, and I write it. Sometimes I just write without a beat at all. One line coming behind another. So, I find something to write, find a paper, and that's another thing too. I always been a writer. Like, I never been a freestyle rapper. A lot of people take my hat off to people that do it and do it well. You know what I'm saying? I can do it when I'm just playing around, but that has never been my claim to fame as a freestyle rapper. I always took it serious. You know what I'm saying? Like, I always took rapping and writing it as a time and an opportunity to philosophize, really. You know what I'm saying? It was my chance to be something like Martin Luther King or Malcolm X, for a time. I always wrote and had thought behind what I was saying because I didn't want to say the first thing came to my mind. I always wanted to say something, to leave you with something to think about, you know, because that's how Rakim and Big Daddy Kane, and, you know, that's how they did me. They said something, they gave me something to think about. So that's why, you know, I always wrote.
When you writing, how you know what perfect beat fit to your rhyme? How you explain it?
The beat always speak for itself. Like, the beat tells the story. That's what I always say. The music, the beat, the bass line, the stuff in between, all of that stuff like that, kind of like give me the subject matter to write about, give me the flow, the cadence, you know, all of that, to how to deliver it, what style I want to bring to it. The beat kind of, it tells me the story. Like, I listen to music, I'm into music, so it's the instruments itself kind of like tell me a story. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it sounds sad or whatever, you know, it might sound happy, it might sound thoughtful, loving, or, you know, whatever, romantic, whatever the feeling the music give you, that's what kind of like tell me what to write about.
Okay, so explain to the people, like, you know, as you write, how you know, like, bar section, like a 16 or 8 or a 4. Like, explain to the people that don't know about that, about, you know, the section of bars and stuff.
Actually, I knew nothing about that until probably about, 2000 and something, man, because the whole time, like, with T.O.P, YGB, Endangered Species, I knew nothing about bars, how long a rhyme's supposed to be, none of that stuff. Like, you know, I used to hear people rhyme, and I guess it was like, whenever, you know, it's like a feeling almost, you know what I'm saying? Like, whenever you feel like it's time to end it, that's when it's time to end it. But I didn't know nothing about no 16 bars, 8 bars, none of that stuff. I ain't know what a bar was, you know. And Shotgun, the one who broke that stuff down to me, you know. So that's why you hear a lot of early recordings like we got, and we just rhyming like a page, probably like 30 lines and then the hook, or I'm saying sometimes it might be 12 lines in a hook. You know, I ain't really know nothing about that stuff until like way late in the game.
So explain to the people about how you learn how to make beats, and what was your first equipment that you got to learn how to make beats, and how's you applying it today?
Okay.
Speak.
The first equipment I got was a drum machine. It was I want to say Dr. Rhythm, but it was I forget quite the name of the drum machine, but that drum machine and a Yamaha keyboard was the first equipment that I got that I actually started making my own beats with. And I had this little small turntable that I got from my granddaddy, and he gave me this little small turntable, you know what I'm saying? We just played 33s on it. So I had that, you know, that's like what I added for, like trying to scratch with and stuff like that. But before I had my own equipment, trying to actually program beats and stuff, you know, we was just looping off the tape decks and getting instrumentals and stuff like that we had on the B side of tapes or on records, you know. But the beats and stuff like that, just basically just listening to the beats and stuff, how the beats was, how it sounded, you know. I would listen to music, try to dissect music, the hi-hats and all that stuff in the background, the beat itself, and plus, you know what I'm saying, when I was in the 5th grade, I was in beginner band also. I played drums in beginner band.
How long you was in the band?
I was in the band for probably about a year and a half. I was in the band, maybe 2 years, I want to say. Cause
so what instrument you learned how to play like you was in the band?
I played drums, I played snare drum, and I played bass drums, and I was just, you know, messing with the chords a little bit. So I played drums, and so that's why when I started making beats, you know, I had a drum machine. So, you know what I'm saying, with the little knowledge I had from playing drums and beginner band, you know what I'm saying, I felt like I already had a little knowledge on how to make beats because, you know, from being in the playing drums, you know what I'm saying, and beginner band. So, you know, that kind of came easy to me when I was, you know, programming beats and stuff with the drum machine. Cause, you know, like, okay, I got a hi-hat, I got a kick drum, I got a snare drum. And, you know, just remembering how we played it in band class and all that stuff, you know what I'm saying? It was like, okay, now I can do what 3 of us was doing in band class, you know what I'm saying? Cause, you know, in in band, I'm on the snares, somebody else on the kick drum, and then we got somebody else playing hi-hats. But with a drum machine, I can do all of this myself. So that's where that came in at. With the keyboards was bass lines. Like, that's what I learned how to do bass lines. You know what I'm saying? First, that was like the main thing. Sometimes it just be a drum track and a bass line. You know what I'm saying? I ain't even go no further than that sometimes, And also Henry, you know what I'm saying? Henry gravitated to the keyboard real good. So when we made beats and stuff like that, a lot of times I would be the one that programmed the drums and he'll be on the keyboards. You know what I'm saying? He took a liking and an interest, and he learned how to play the keyboard, you know what I'm saying, better than me. So when we made our music, a lot of times it'd be Henry on the keyboards and me on the drums.
Okay, so
YGB.
So that being said, like, feedback. Did you get positive feedback when y'all putting music out, and how to explain to the people, like, how did Endangered Species and True Pioneers get started, and who was like the members of it, and when did all these people come into play?
Yeah, we got good feedback. The song we had called Peace to My Steel is one of the biggest songs we had back then. I can remember we got a lot of feedback from that song. We even performed that song at Hot 105 one time. We had this talent show we was in for Mike Alone. We performed that song and they jumped up. They thought we was pulling out real guns and stuff like that. So, they stopped us in the middle of the show. And it was like, we ain't trying to promote violence. And he was like, no, y'all gotta listen to the song. The song is a non-violent song really about guns. Y'all gotta listen to the song. So, you know what I'm saying? That was kind of funny, man, how they just shut us down and everything. And, they didn't want to hear us out. And it actually was a song that was about non-violent use of a gun or whatever. But we got a lot of good reviews on that song from the people, from our peers and other people that heard it and stuff. So Peace to My Steel was one of the first songs that I can remember that we got a lot of positive feedback from.
And explain, like, why they wanted to saying they didn't want to hear y'all song. Like, why is that? Is it because at the time, whatever, it was different type of music that was out at the time, why is that?
Yeah, see, during that time, man, talking about mid-90s, so that mid-90s in Alabama was Booty Shake, 2 Live Crew, Florida-based, real fast beats music that was coming out. And that's what was like taking over the airwaves, you know what I'm saying? If you weren't rapping real fast and, talking about booty shaking, you really wouldn't get no airplay here in Alabama, So when we came out on a hip-hop mid-level range, it was like, man, wait a minute, hold on, man. I like y'all, but I can't play this on the radio. That was like the main thing. Like, what we gonna put y'all at on the radio? Because they ain't had no slot for that tempo music. You know what I'm saying? It was like the tempo we was doing is like, okay, y'all a little faster than R&B. Of course, y'all harder than R&B, what y'all rapping about. Ain't nowhere close to that. But y'all rapping too slow. You know what I'm saying? It was like we weren't rapping fast enough because, we coming from a Florida-based Miami, dance tempo music. 69 Boys, 95 South, 2 Live Crew, like rappers like that was out back then. So it was hard for us to get airplay back then.
Okay, so what's the difference between being in a group and being in a solo group? Like, what's the biggest difference that you have?
Being solo, the biggest difference for me is when you're in a group, you got less work to do. You got less work to do, but it's you gotta have the same amount of dedication to it though, And what I mean by less work is when I'm in a group, mostly all I have to do is write one verse, maybe a half a verse, and a hook and a chorus. Maybe not a chorus this song. Produce a beat, maybe not produce a beat, because I got other people in the group that produce also. So that's what I mean by less work, but it's, but equal dedication. So to me, in a group is easier for me, especially when you got people that gel together, like, me and Shotgun do. So I love a group like that when you got creative minds that's working together doing the same thing. So, being solo, It's different being solo. All the pressure is on you. You gotta make all the music. You gotta write all the rhymes. And, you know, at the same time, though, you can kind of like push the envelope and bend the corner a little bit too when you were, you know, solo, because, you know, I can do stuff I want to do that my partner might not be comfortable with. So, you know, when I'm solo, I ain't got to worry about him not being able to, you know, get on that tip, you know what I'm saying, so to say. So, you know, that's the difference.
So, like, with that being said, though, like, what have changed since putting out music back then until now? And what information that you fully aware of now that you may not didn't understand, you know, back then because, you know, you was young, and how you feel about that?
The biggest difference now is you can put out your own music. Now you can do your own videos by yourself now without a record label. Back then you needed a record label to do everything for you. You need a record label to make a video. You need a record label for studio time, you know, and all of that stuff for promotion. To do this, what we doing now, you know what I'm saying? Like back then, you had to be on a radio station to do this. You know what I'm saying? Like basically, man, you creating your own radio station right now. You can make your own video with a cell phone now. Pro Tools, you know, you got a studio at home now. You know what I'm saying? Audacity. So it's easier to create your stuff now and put it out. You know, you could make a song right now, 12 o'clock tonight, is viral. You know what I'm saying? 5,000, 6,000 people already heard it and possibly bought it. So now versus then, I think that's the biggest difference. It's just easier to create your stuff and put it out and find your audience now.
So like now, did y'all have to like get out there in the streets and like press up tapes, cassette tapes, and pass them out? Or how y'all grind was? Like explain to the people the grind.
Yeah, man. Back then, we had to pretty much, it was hand-to-hand contact back then. You know what I'm saying? If you wanted somebody to hear your stuff, you had to go out there and give it to them. You know, you had to hand it to them. Like, you had to go and do a show so they can come and see you. So that, you know, they can hear you, they can see you. You know what I'm saying? You had to go to radio stations and do interviews like we're doing now. You know, we had to go to college campuses and introduce ourselves and, you know, let them know what we was trying to do. You had to really like, it was contact. It was, you know, face-to-face contact back then. Like, really didn't have the internet. The internet was out, but, you know what I'm saying, it wasn't like it is now, you know. Like now we just hit a button and I'm talking to, you know, somebody from Germany. But back then, damn near had to go to Germany back then, though. You know what I'm saying, to put your music out. So
had to put like flyers and stuff like that. So
yeah, we had to put like posters, like flyers.
Street team, or y'all pretty much our own street team?
We was our own street team. We had 2 or 3 dudes that was like down with us that wasn't really like rapping, that was you know, doing stuff like that. But that came like later, you know what I'm saying? That came like after we you know, signed our little deal with H-Town Records with Endangered Species when we put out the single No Doubt and Smoke. So, you know, they hooked us up with a little small street team that helped us out with that. But, you know, before then, everything was just a group doing everything.
So what kind of went wrong? You know, you was just speaking on, you know, y'all signed a deal with H-Town. Like, what was like the downfall of that? And to speak on that, like, what really happened? And I want to know, like, describe y'all style, man. Was New York based style, or it was mixed with down south, or how was it?
Okay, first of all, our style was or is New York with Shotgun. With me, it's hard to describe because I started out, you know, heavily East Coast based because that was a lot of my influences, like you asked me before, was coming from. But also, I was heavily influenced by the Ghetto Boys too, you know what I'm saying, that was coming out in Houston with Scarface and Willie D and Bushwick them. Because they was from Houston and they was from the South, I felt like you know, I could relate with them. And plus, you know what I'm saying, even with them though, you know, with their music, Ready Red was from New York, so you know, the beats and stuff like that was already hip hop, you know, what I was used to. And to hear Scarface and Willie D rhyme with that southern accent, you know, I was influenced by them too. So
a lot of people say that you had any comparison to, people in the rap game, that they say like, oh, do you sound like such and such, or this person or that person? Like, did you get any comparison?
yeah, I heard Rakim a lot. I heard Tupac a lot. Goody Mob a lot. You know what I'm saying? And with all them names I just called, man, I feel like it's I'm honored to be mentioned in that same conversation, because all of them names I just called, man, is I got highly much respect for it.
Okay, so how you feel about the rap game today? Do you think it's watered down? Because let's be honest, man, like I feel like there's no type of content, and I feel like we got rappers out here that give content. You got people like Freddie Gibbs, Dave East, you got your Nas, Jay-Z, but I feel like it's content is missing. And Will, how you feel about that?
Yeah, I agree, man. It's content missing. It's just that the content, what they talking about is just mainly the same thing, though. You know what I'm saying? Just mainly get high, play with guns. Like, every song is about that. And it's like, did the mission or the focus get off at? It's like, okay, that's not the main thing about life, getting high and playing with guns. That ain't the main focus in life. It's like, all right, what are songs that about being a man, as far as like taking care of your responsibilities? What are songs that about educating the kids? What are songs that about protecting the youth, respecting the women? What are songs that about how hard it was growing up, and how you want to make sure your mom or your grandma is being took care of now, and stuff like that? Even with the gun songs and stuff like that. I mean, what are songs that's talking about protecting the neighborhood instead of destroying the neighborhood?
I feel like, there is none. I feel like people do music to get hot, to get a quick buck, and then they gone. Like, there's no authenticity in music,
Right.
Like, nobody don't stand out.
Nah.
And I feel like that's what it missing.
Yeah, it's
and I
like,
feel like, some people that do spit that type stuff, they get overlooked. So explain to the people, like, do you feel that?
Yeah,
do you
man.
feel like your music that you bring to the front for, do you think like it get overlooked? And how can we get that in the forefront and keep the culture pushing forward? Because you always hear people talking about, oh, we're gonna push the culture forward, and I just think it's a lot.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I feel like most definitely on a larger scale that, music that I do and people like me do intentionally got pushed to the side or thrown under the rug because it just wasn't in the main interest of these big private industries and stuff. To be for real with you, man, I feel like the music I do detour people from going to prison. And I feel like it's more money involved in people going to prison, because prisons are private owned industries, and the goal for a private owned industry is to make money. So if me and people like me is doing music to stop people from going to prison, that ain't what they want. So, they gonna like make it harder for people to hear me and people like me. And easier. They want people to go to prison, so they gonna promote music that make people go, make it easier for you to go to prison.
Okay. Speaking of that, what you said, so what type of advice would you give like a 16-year-old or 17-year-old that's, they're trying to pursue their music career? Like, what advice would you give them?
The advice I would give them is to hang by yourself, get out of a crowd, get out of a group, get out of a gang. Be by yourself as much as you can. Learn your craft every day, all day. Learn how to play an instrument, no matter what kind it is. Piano, guitar, drum, saxophone, whatever. Learn music. Study other kind of music that you don't do. Read books, watch documentaries, biographies on musicians and artists. Just engulf yourself in music and be you. You know what I'm saying? That's it.
So are you open to work with like any other artists? Like, if it's a kid from Germany and he 17 years old, are you willing to, work with him? You know what I'm saying? Are you open, period, to work with other artists?
I'm open to work with other artists, but I don't just want to work with other artists because they do music or they rap or whatever.
If they do something else like besides like sing, produce, because you know you got kids that's 17, 18 years old that making beats from the 90s.
Yeah, if it's positive. You know what I'm saying? That's my thing, is that I'm interested in working with people that's making positive music. If I feel like your music is negative or swaying people to do negative stuff, I'm not interested in working with you. That's like production wise and all that stuff. Like I don't even, you know what I'm saying? Like if, a lot of times, man, I don't work with artists, man, because I feel like if I make them a beat or make them some music, they're going to do some negative stuff on top of it. So
explain that to the people who are like, you feel like you don't like working with artists or whatever. Do it get frustrated at some time? And do you feel like they don't want to put the groundwork in? They just feel like, oh, if you just make this beat for me, I'm good. Like, explain that. Like, why you don't?
Yeah, man. Sometimes I find myself, man, doing music and the artists or whatever, you know what I'm saying, the people I'm working with don't want to put the effort, don't want to put the grind, the same time, dedication that I'm putting in it. So, you know what I'm saying, I kind of like back off and shy away from it because sometimes it's hard to find the same people that want to get the same amount of time and dedication to it. And, and also always have looked at music as a means to inspire and improve things also. So if I'm working with somebody that I feel like they don't have that same interest, I'll back up, man. I'll back off, you know what I'm saying? And like, okay, I signed up to do this one, but that's it.
Okay, like, you got anything new coming out, like an album coming out? And then explain to the people, what the new album gonna be about or whatever.
Yeah, man, I got some new stuff coming out. I got a new album coming out by the name of Negrito.
What's the meaning behind it?
The meaning behind Negrito means darkness. And the science behind that is just what I call blacking out. It's like a blacking out, a knockout, falling asleep only to wake up again, or almost like being reborn again. A blackout, and then when you wake up, now you see the light. Now you see the real light. So this album right here is basically, it's gonna be my first album under my new name. Also,
Why the new name change?
The reason for the new name change is because I've elevated now. I've grown out of older than Muk-pah. Muk-pah was Muk-pah ever since I was 15 years old, and now I've matured. Muk-pah was a lot of adolescence, me was that, and Roberto Salah is who I've grown into now. So it's, people ask me about that, and it's to kind of like to help you understand what I'm talking about. It's sort of like how Tupac did with Machiavelli, sort of like that, man. But this is like more for me, more on a spiritual and a metaphysical level, though.
Okay, so can people find you on any type of social media platform?
Yeah, man. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter. Muk-pah, Mukpah. You know what I'm saying? My YouTube channel is Endangered Species Records. So you can find me on Number One Music. You know what I'm saying? It's a music outlet. You can also find me on SoundCloud, Muk-pah, you know what I'm saying? Dora Casa, you know what I'm saying? It's another group that I have. We got a SoundCloud channel. So, yeah, man, check all that out.
So, can we get another Endangered Species album and, explain to the people, like I was, asking you earlier, like, what was I wouldn't say like breakup, or what was like, okay, I'm gonna do this over here, I'll do this over here. Like, why was that, man?
Well, the reason for that was because that when we got together as Endangered Species, we was already a group of solo people, solo artists. Me, Shotgun, Charmaine, Craig, V, you know what I'm saying? Henry, Ferrante, all of us. We came together as a group of solo artists, you know what I'm saying, that came together under one umbrella, especially me, Shotgun, and V, during the time when we had the record deal and everything. Yeah. So when the record deal didn't really work out how we wanted it to go, we just decided to go back to what we was doing before we got together. And it's like, okay, we're gonna take a break from the group stuff and we're gonna go back to doing what we were doing. And you know what I'm saying, once we do this and, you know, do enough of what we're doing, then we'll get back together, you know, sometimes and click back with the ES stuff. So it was like a time also growing up, becoming men, you know what I'm saying? Endangered Species, I was a teenager. We was teenagers, you know, me and Shotgun was. So, you know, during the time when we broke up, a couple of years, you know, after that, we had, you know, started to hit our 20s and stuff, and we started to grow up. So it was like, okay, I'm becoming a man now. So I'm on my own journey now. You know what I'm saying? We weren't teenagers no more. We wanted to be alone. We wanted space so we can, you know what I'm saying, be our own selves and stuff.
So why like other people, like, you know, like Lynn, you know, I seen, you know, when I was, you know, a kid or whatever, I seen the Endangered Species cover and stuff like that. So why wasn't he never, like, you know, on no song? He wasn't no rapper or nothing, or what his role was?
Well, Lynn was more of we didn't really have like no names or titles and nothing like that. But if anything, you know, the closest thing I can say, he was more like a manager almost, like at the time. But we didn't really give him that name or nothing like that. But he was more like a road manager, so to say, versus, I would say like a road manager, you know. Musically, we got a lot of ideas and stuff off Lynn. He would bounce a lot of ideas and stuff off of us. And, you know, at the time, he would, you know, try to introduce the music theory to us, and we weren't trying to hear that back then. But now, you know, we had a conversation lately, you know, me and Lynn did, how I'm just not getting into music theory and stuff now. Actually all three of us, me and Shotgun was talking about it too, how now we into music theory, and how we were so ignorant back then that we didn't even want to use it, but how it could have helped us out in understanding music back then. You know, music, Lynn was coming from playing in a band, Tuskegee University band and stuff, and he was coming to us with a lot of music theory ideas and stuff, you know, that we weren't, you know, really trying to hear back then.
So what about Craig? Like what his role was?
You know, Craig was our DJ. You know, Craig started out as our DJ, also MC. You know what I'm saying? More of a DJ than an MC. More like, you know, almost like a featured MC almost, you know. But in the group, Craig started, you know, more of a DJ.
Okay. So what they doing now, and why was this kind of like a big gap from, you know, you putting out music then until like now? Like, what was the gap in between?
Well, the gap in between the music for me was I became a family man. I did. I became a family man, and the music became a back burner, became something that I really didn't have a lot of time to really put a lot of, you know, time and dedication in it and stuff. So it became a back burner. I always was doing it, so I always was writing. And another part of the gap also became because I didn't have no equipment too for a few years, you know. After Endangered Species broke up, the first album I did, which was, actually the second solo album I did. The first two, I used Eric's equipment, Shotgun equipment. Like I said, we never was broke up. We were just more like a Wu-Tang Clan type thing. I tell people that too, is that we were just doing separate projects, but we were still ES. So those, you know, first two albums I did, man, like right after Endangered Species, I was using his equipment, and, you know, he had got out of music for a little while. You know what I'm saying? He got out of music and joined a church, and, you know, he wasn't even like interested in hip hop no more. So he was like, hey man, look, you get this equipment, man, and use it. I ain't gonna need it right now. So after, you know, he came, after, you know, a few months or whatever, he came back and he got his equipment. And he said, yo man, I'm gonna start back trying to do music. So he got his equipment and started doing his music. So I was out of equipment for a little while. So a lot of the gap came because I didn't have my own equipment at the time. You know what I'm saying? And that, and plus I had just started a family. So I'm a family man now with no equipment. So what do? You raise your family and you just write. That's basically what I was doing. You know, it's like the music wasn't like that important to me. And plus, you know, I wasn't getting inspired a lot either at that time. It was just, that time, it just wasn't a whole lot of music that was inspiring to me at that time.
So from the new album, what inspires you to like put out music and come out with an album now that you feel like inspired? Well, like what, you know what I'm saying, inspires you now?
Well, now, you know what I'm saying, I've been inspired now to do music. You know, basically just listening, you know what I'm saying, to artists that I never heard of before, that just, you know, opened my horizon up to different genres of music and stuff like that kind of inspired me to do music. You know, it's like, okay, I don't have to do this like that. You know, I can do this like this. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to do the same thing everybody else doing. And plus, when I decided to come back and start doing music, I started getting a lot of good reviews and stuff that people was glad I was started back making music and stuff like that. It was like, you know, we've been missing this. So I got a lot of good feedback to keep doing what I was doing. So I just said, well, you know, I got a fan base now. You know, I got somebody that like what I'm doing. So that was enough, you know, encouragement or enough inspiration for me to keep doing music and to do this new music that I'm doing.
Okay. So when the new album gonna come out or whatever, because I want to hear it. I've been a fan from a jump. Can't wait to hear the new album.
Yeah.
And it's like, do anything else you want to let the people know before we wrap this thing up, man?
Well, the new music, the new album, you know, like I said, it's called Negrito. You know what I'm saying? It's up on the Roberto Salah, Exit Muk-pah, Enter Roberto Salah, Negrito. 13 tracks on this right here. Straight, you know what I'm saying, from a spiritual level. The music it's soulful album, you know what I'm saying? And anything else I would say, man, you know what I'm saying, y'all be safe out there, man. Y'all be peace and love, man. I'd like to thank you for having me on this podcast, man.
Man, look, anytime you want to come on here, man, and talk, you know, want to promote your music, man, you're more welcome. You know,
thanks,
I'm
bro.
glad to have you, and I want to salute you, you know, not
salute
as a
back,
brother,
man,
but as a father, man. I tip my hat to you. I tell people all the time, like it's a difference between having a name and being a father and real deal being a father.
Yeah.
Man, if somebody had to give you Dad of the Year, man, you'll get my vote.
Oh, man, thank you, man. I learned from the best, man. You know what I'm saying? I learned from the greatest father in the world, our dad, man. So it's easier to be one when you've been shown how to be one. So much respect, man. Much respect to our dad on that, man.
But this gonna wrap it up, man. Thanks for coming on here. And that's it, man. Y'all be safe out there. Love.
Yeah, man. Peace, man.
On a night like this, is that serious? What's that on rise? Lay back on this one. Max out, relax. I see Mars right now.
Just as the lightning hit the top of the school clock, I'm back to the future, wheels burning like Marty and Doc. No DeLorean or 91 Caprice that's dropped, but you really should have seen the Delta 88. Ride dangerous with no brakes. Never where I fit in, so why pretend when there's so much more that's at stake? I do this for my kind. Black smoke is all they get when the ticks start biting in the bird's spine. And all I ever gave was me. While the others live false, I was born to be a boss. Guess the tails like a coin toss, but I keep striving. Master any house I'm wiring. If I had to choose, it would be this flawless, undisputed, charismatic lifestyle of mine, which I study in tools. Walking with Pumas on the shoes, I'm a pounder. Stepping on your fingers, you would think you get drowned. Lights on in the daytime, I'ma take it for myself and let the sun shine. Lights on in the daytime, I'ma take it for myself and let the sun shine. Lights on in the daytime, I'ma take it for myself and let the sun shine. Lights on in the daytime, lights on in the daytime. All I hear is whack. Rappers failing polygraph tests with they raps. I get them disturbed, then I shoot a bird. What's the house? I'm laid back, steaming off the broccoli. Laid it down years ago, but yet they still copying me. I choose to advance, I don't slander, I slaughter. I laid a foundation down to be groomed by my daughters, and my son will be a crown prince. I named him Roz, deeper with instruments than 808s and guitars. Welcome to the part where we don't work at it. Lyrics laid down on the beats, make it transparent. See me get fly like the sky, like a solar flare. More of the aurora, getting closer to it every year. I'm not confined, but yet I still find insanity's to blame for the cities full of crime. A calamity for those that lack themselves a brain. They deaf, dumb, and blind. Me, I'm getting mine. Yeah, lights on in the daytime. I'ma take it for myself and let the sun shine. Yeah, lights on in the daytime. I'ma take it for myself and let the sun shine. Yeah, lights on in the daytime. Lights on in the daytime. That's right. Lights on in the daytime. I know what I'm talking about. They say I'm ultra to ever get caught in a jungle that's coastal or any region. I transcend to any South African or Norwegian, Indonesian, Polynesian. Give you them treats like Tahitian, still equivalent to the impact of a bullet speeding. Silver Hawk hit them in the heart, wild wolf, art of war, fight without fighting or it's an ambush. Niggas claiming that they got kush, but it's black dirt, might as well dig themselves a grave. This is Blaze Perk, you should see the way how I work, nothing but hustler ethics. You tryna wait until I slip, you might as well forget it. Armies can't retreat us, smelling like Adidas, so I kicked off my boots because these clowns can't defeat us. I call them patients in the ER room waiting. My summer breeze with me while I'm reading constellations. Yeah, lights on in the daytime. I'ma take it for myself and let the sun shine. Yeah, lights on in the daytime. I'ma take it for myself and let the sun shine. Yeah, lights on in the daytime. I'ma take it for myself and let the sun shine. Yeah, lights on in the daytime. Lights on in the daytime. Lights on in the daytime. Nighttime. Blazed out. Reading stars. Intelligent conversation. It transcends all races, all culture, and everything in between, all genders.
Check this out.
Welcome to the Pushing Forward Podcast. We